Hello, YouTube. Let's play Rymdkapsel. I've seen some reviews on the App Store of this unbelievably awesome game that say it can't be beat and it's too hard and the minions are stupid and their pathfinding is terrible. And only some of those statements are true. So let's beat the normal mode of Rymdkapsel in, let's say, 27, 26 minutes or maybe even less, and we'll get to at least 50 waves of survival here in normal mode. Here's how we do it. I'm going to use that initial piece. We're going to put in an extractor. We're going to put in a reactor. Prioritizing, I think, the reactor. I'm not really sure that it matters to prioritize one or the other. Now this piece here, I don't want it anywhere. I'm going to place it and burn it. Same thing with this. I don't want that piece right now. Burn it. This is going to be quarters. Burn. 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 Now, I've got these three things that I placed. I don't want any of them. I tap the first one, cancel, and the whole tree is erased. Very handy. This is going to be another extractor. This is going to be a kitchen. And this is going to be burned. Now we have a gardens here, and I need to find another straight to continue our path to the first monolith. Now that the engineering area is done, we want to make sure we prioritize that. So we get our materials. Burn. Burn. We're going to burn until I get a straight. There it is. And again, this whole tree is gone when I hit cancel. That goes here. And now I'm going to build an optimized path to this first monolith, like so. And so we're getting lucky here. Prioritize the garden for now. I'm waiting for a straight or something that gives me an optimized path to my monolith. There's the straight I want, and it's going to be my second quarters. Next, I want another straight. I'm going to start building out here just stuff that I'm going to delete. The next one's going to be a weapon, but I'm not going to build it just yet. I don't want my minions distracted. I could start building pathways to these other three monoliths, but I want my minions focused on this initial stage of the game. The next thing to keep in mind is that after I build one more building, the enemy waves are going to start. So what I'm going to do is mostly complete this first quarters, and then I'm going to switch to the kitchen, and then I'm going to start making food, and by the time I've got my quarters built, I should have enough food to start making new minions. So we'll just let this cook for a minute. Once I get to about 4 pieces missing from the quarters, I'll resume building the kitchen. Right now there's I think 8 pieces that are needed. Now 7. Whoops. Yeah, the minions are dumb. It's fine. It's just part of the game. Yes, they're really dumb. It's fine. It's part of the game. There are 5 pieces left before my quarters are done. I'm going to switch as soon as that energy is delivered, leaving 4. Now we work on the kitchen. My goal is to start building, to start converting sludge into food around the time there are 2 pieces left to build in the quarters. That's kind of the right timing. And I've left 4 because I'm imagining that the minions, being as dumb as they are, might sort of accidentally add a piece or 2 to the quarters. It looks like, yeah, see, that's going to happen. That extracted material is going to go to the quarters. Now there's 3 left to build the quarters. Now there's going to be 2 left, and you see how perfectly this works. Now I want that minion to grab food, and he, just by chance, he's going to grab food, which is sort of handy. So now I've got 2 spots left in the quarters. I've got kitchen and gardens done. We can get to work on food service because there are, as I said, 2 spots left to build the quarters. So by the time the quarters are done, I'm going to have a little bit of food to start making new minions. The timing so far has been just ideal. You don't always get this lucky. Once the quarters are done, of course, we'll work on this extractor. I leave that guy on food service. He'll start feeding our new minions. Yay, we're about to get a minion, who we will put to work as an engineer. Our next minion will be a construction dude, or dudette. Get to work. Now, just one last piece of sludge, and then that food service guy can be reassigned to something else. Construction. Not much else to work on. See, I haven't built anything else because I want them to fixate on what's next. What's next is that corridor. Nothing else matters. We're out of resources, which is fine. In a few seconds, we'll have some more materials. There we go. And now we can get to work on second quarters. Not even any weapons yet. Don't panic. Now, the reason I'm not building weapons right now is that I want my food to go strictly to making more minions. If I build another weapon station, or my first weapon station, some precious early food will be diverted from making minions to building the weapon station. I don't want that. About time to start making more food, so the engineer becomes a food guy. And as you know, this first wave is just scouts. We don't worry about them. Now, I might have moved that engineer to food service a little too soon, but, you know, there's 3 guys working on building that quarter, so maybe the timing will work out. I have a feeling it'll be pretty close. Now, energy is done on the quarters, so we're already continuing our way down the corridor, which is great. And I've got 4 more pieces that need to go into the quarters before it'll be done. Looks like just 2 left. The timing is pretty good. The food service guy is going to be bored just for a second. Everybody's kind of bored just for a second. Now more minions, and pretty soon I'm going to build that weapon station. My hope is actually to do, if I'm lucky, I want to do a little bit of research on this monolith even before I get weapons, before I even have to use my weapons. Let's see if we can pull it off. This first new minion is going back to, I think, engineering. Like so. Now, once I place this weapon station, it's going to be sort of a mad dash to build the second arm of my corridor network, and we're going to go out to here. That's a bit of a mad rush. But let's go ahead and get the weapons done and put him in charge of construction. And now I don't want these to be built. I'm burning these until I get a straight. Minions, do not build on that. Oh, I should do this. Prioritize that. Okay, good. Like so. Delete all that crap. This comes down to here. And I want a few more straights. And look, we're done, and we can start researching. Go. I should have moved food service earlier. I should have moved engineering earlier. Get them to work on other stuff. Prioritize my weapons. More straight lines. I've got room for... No, that's not going to be... The next thing I want to build is actually a weapons station. This is kind of a frenzy at this point. That's going to be my weapons. It's going to go right in here. Now, my next strategy is to build weapons as close to each other as possible. Weapons done. Again, there's only one thing for the minions to do, which is great. And I need to hurry and get this corridor laid out. prioritize my second weapon. Pause for a moment to take stock. What do we got? Not enough food. So let me have a guy get to work on food. And we continue. Few more seconds and then I'll bring my researchers back to defend. By the time the weapons are needed, we should have 2 weapon stations built, accommodating 4 workers out of 6, and we're going to hope that the other 2 don't get killed. That can go there. Actually, I don't need any more food right now, so how about engineering? And about now, we'll come back and start defending. Now these little orphans, I gotta watch really closely to see where they are with respect to the incoming bad guy. I can send them, I certainly don't want to send him down there, so we'll maybe tell them to work on food. Let's see, where's he coming from? From the bottom. So I'm going to send them to research. They're going to go up towards the top of the screen while the rest of the guys defend. Now that our enemy is dead, I send a 3rd researcher and we resume building. Easy as pie. That worked out good. Now I've got a specific design. I do it the same way every time. So my corridor is going to be this L shape here. This leaves me access someday to put an extractor there. We're not going to do that. We're going to finish our whole network with just these 2 extractors. Now we're going to waste just a tiny bit of space, and you'll see what I mean. I haven't figured out a better way than doing it like that. All the other paths are going to be optimized, but I do have these 3 extra little bits. Now, my monolith is at 62%. I can start thinking about the rest of my corridors. I want straights, all straights. Basically 2 straights in every direction before we start thinking about other directions. Like so, and like so. I want to prioritize this and build this. And I'm going to burn until I get another straight. Like that. Now we build a path. An optimized path that looks so pretty. And look at how well this is progressing. Once this is done, I'll prioritize this one so that that energy will make it there. Sometimes you just kind of get lucky. They're not always optimized. Like this guy over here who just grabbed a piece of energy, you know, he's on a fool's errand and doesn't know it. So it goes. All right, my first one is done, so we're going to keep building. And I am going to send one of them to engineering. And burn until I get the right pieces. And you see, I didn't prioritize this piece, but it just sort of got made because they, realized that they didn't have the right materials for over there, whatever. It's fine. Everything's cool. Now this is done and I can send 3 more researchers in. 1, 2, 3. The goal is to complete around 30% of this monolith before the next wave comes in. And by the way, now might be a good time for another weapon station. This can be deleted, and I get to keep those 3 gathered resources. They'll show up on the pile. So delete this, put this here, and get a weapon station put in. I think, you see how I can put this in different spots by tapping? That's important. Let me prioritize this weapon station. And I betcha I have it done before the bad guys show up. The big question for me is, this engineer is done, so back to construction. The big question for me is, can I get to 30%? Looks like I can, before I have to abandon this in order to defend the station. Meanwhile, keep building. And I'm going to have that weapon station built. Check this out. It's going well, right? Impossible, they say. Another straight goes out here. Now, I don't really care which of these get built first. One way to... Let me stop talking long enough to think about when I want to come back. Right about now. These two guys can get to defending. And do I allow that energy guy to go do his thing, or do I interrupt him? I'm going to interrupt him. Safe than sorry. This last guy goes here. All right, as I was saying, when this monolith is complete, I want all 6 minions to simultaneously work on the 2 remaining monoliths so they finish at the same time. That's kind of important. And we are done. Ready to research and continue construction. I believe what I want to do here is go like that. Now 2 more straights and my whole corridor network is done. I want to keep a half an eye on my engineering station. I don't want too much energy sitting there in the reactor because otherwise the minions get dumb, but I also don't really want to run out. Don't build there. I want straights. So I'll kind of build my dummy corridors way off to the side where they won't accidentally build stuff. And you see this guy here was on his way to build that corridor and couldn't. Like I say, get over it. That's the last time I'm going to say that. Sorry, guys. Okay, here's a straight, so I can delete, not that, but this whole tree. And you see, 1 more straight will complete it. Meanwhile, how are we doing? I like it. All right, 1 more straight to finish my network, and then there's a lot of waiting that happens. All right. Did I mention that I really like this game? I really like this game. This is totally going to finish. And you see that the monolith is going to be done researching and the corridors are going to be pretty close to being done right around the same time. I forgot to pay attention to my reactors, so that loose guy is going to be an engineer and make just a little bit of energy for us. %. But not too much. Back to work. These guys can get back to work. And sometimes when I play, I actually get a little bit of head start during this wave on these last 2, and that's when you can really set a record. Probably not going to happen this time, but it is the case that I will have this whole network built in time to get to work right after defending the base on this next wave. I mean, as long as we're here, what else are you going to do with research? And research. So we'll get a little bit. It won't be enough to make a big difference, but it's better than having them just sit idle. And now I can think about what happens after all the research is done. I really need some extractors. So 1 goes there, and 1 goes here, and 1 goes here. Whoops. Oh no! Am I too late? It's gonna be close. Here's my last extractor. It goes right in there. Delete that. Run, run, you little minions. I think we're gonna be okay. Yep, we're good. Now I'm going to delete this guy, and notice in the bottom right corner there are 2 pieces of material available for extracting. And if I delete this extractor, Now I have as many as I need. I have, and then some. So we'll prioritize this, and at our leisure, we'll maybe start building more stuff on our network. We will not finish these before the next wave. So be it. This will be around 26 minutes probably to finish. I guess while I'm sitting here, I can do some other building. And again, the goal is to put weapons as tightly spaced as possible. So there's going to be a weapon in there, and there's going to be 2 weapons in this quadrant, and 2 weapons in this quadrant, 3 weapons in this quadrant, and 3 weapons in this quadrant, for a total of 10 weapon stations. We burn until we get exactly the right piece that we want, and we try not to lose track of the oncoming enemies. I'm going to end up with 4 gardens and 3 kitchens. Yeah, I guess so. No, gardens. I want gardens there. I want kitchens closer to the hub and gardens closer to the outside. I'm not sure it helps. There's going to be a weapon station right in there where the reactor currently is. So at some point I get to delete that reactor and replace it with a weapon. And I need to plan ahead and remember not to occupy that space with a weapon between now and then. Note to self, don't forget the oncoming wave. What did I say? 3 kitchens and 4 gardens? We could put a garden right in there. When that bar gets over the E in the word research, that's about when I'll send all my guys running home. And aside from my 4 gardens and 3 kitchens, everything else is just going to be weapons and quarters, obviously. And it's about time. So quarters goes in there. And a kitchen here. Back to work. And so we're at 86% there, 92% there, so they're a little out of balance, but that's pretty good. Remember to prioritize that first extractor, otherwise game over, right? I'm really short on materials, but it's cool. Can I use this piece? Thinking about how my weapons are going to be arranged in this quadrant. I'm going to delete. What I'm going to do is delete that extractor and put an L shape tucked in there. And so I'm going to need to sort of leave a little bit of room in that zone. Okay, that 3rd monolith is done. And we're at about 24 minutes or so. Back to work, everybody. And here's my award. The game gets interrupted. Let me just hit home here. How long did it take me? 24 minutes and 5 seconds. Pretty good. That was pretty good. That was well above average for me. I'm glad I was recording that. All right, all right. The interface is sort of funny. Once you, once you achieve a milestone, it sort of shows you all the things. And you see all the things I've accomplished. That's the one thing I haven't pulled off yet. That'll be a future Let's Play if I ever figure it out. So engineering and food service, everything else is construction. It's really important to get this guy here built. And I try to be as hands-off as I can in terms of prioritizing the rest, because really, time is not going to be an issue for me as I finish this. So again, this quadrant here is going to get 2. Let me prioritize another extractor. You may have noticed that there was an idle food service worker for a while. I just don't care. Time is not of the essence at this point of the game. Just make sure your dudes have enough resources and let them do their thing. And don't forget to send them to defend your base when the time comes. Now, I'm allowing those 2 construction guys to finish their work, and then once they're done, I'll send them over to defend. If time mattered at this point, I suppose it would be a useful strategy. It's just something I like to do. Do you think I'm cheating by burning all of these pieces? Let me know in the comments. Do you think it would be interesting to have a game mode where you couldn't delete anything? I believe the art of Japanese calligraphy involves making a commitment from the pen to the page. And I think it would be interesting to have a version of this game, or a mode in this game, where you can't delete anything, ever. And you've just got to commit to the resources that are available, to the piece shapes that are available. I would find that sort of endlessly frustrating, but also kind of cool. So again, there's going to be 2 weapon stations in this quadrant. I've already picked out a spot for those. There's going to be 3 here. 1, 2, and the third one obviously goes right there. There's going to be 2 in this quadrant. 1 to replace where the reactor is now. And there's going to be 3 in this right-hand quadrant here. And so what you're going to see me build between now and then is the weapons and quarters to fill in that space. Again, you see I've got an idle food service guy. I just don't care. We're working fast enough. Also wouldn't hurt maybe to prioritize another extractor. Now that was not ideal because it doesn't leave room for a weapon station in there that's the shape I want. So instead of this, I'm going to delete this, and I'm going to put a weapon station here that looks like that. And look what that allows me to do. It gives me room for the full, long weapon station in this quadrant. Like so. Cool, right? The idea is all the weapon stations should be as close as they possibly can to one another. Now I've got all the weapon stations I need except for 1, which I will build near the end to replace that guy right there. And it'll fit right in that little spot with an L shape. It's going to look like this, right there. If they don't do it on their own, I want to prioritize another garden, because you see there's a bit of a bottleneck in food. Again, if it mattered time-wise, I would be more insistent about that, but it just doesn't. At this point, we've got the game beat. Let's see, what do I need here? I could do this one. Now I got 9 out of 10 weapons placed. And then we fill in with quarters. And they did sort of accidentally complete this garden, which will drastically improve the rate at which we produce food, which in turn will drastically improve the rate at which we produce minions. I want the rest of the guys more or less balanced between food service and construction, with a slight preference towards construction. That way, you'll notice that minions have a tendency to steal food from quarters if they want it. So there's a single food sitting there, a minion may drop by and pick that up, which can happen, and you don't worry about it too much because time is not of the essence. But the way you keep that from being a big problem is to have around half of your available workers working on food service. Let's finish that last particle field. Let's take stock of my food production. I have 3 out of 4 gardens and 2 out of 3 kitchens. I'm going to put the last garden and the last kitchen right here as soon as this particle field is depleted. As I build this dummy corridor system, you see that only one piece, that one right there, is connected to the existing base, which is how I delete everything. I guess I said that already. There it is. Even if a guy dies at this point, it doesn't matter. And before you know it, you're going to have minions being born at a prodigious rate. It's kind of fun. If you're into that sort of thing. Which I am. As you see. That particle field is finally depleted. So I can burn that and replace it with a 3rd kitchen. And a 4th garden next to it. Now we wait more or less to the end to see how many more quarters I have resources to build. I've done a lot of experimenting, and I am not of the opinion that more than 10 weapon stations is going to prolong your life in this game. I'd love to see myself proved wrong. And by the way, I've seen on Game Center that people are presumably finishing all 4 monoliths in like 19 minutes. They're either cheating, but there's a lot of cheaters listed that are like 0.1 seconds, but there's a couple of 19-minute times, and I would love to know how they do it. So if you're one of those people, step up and show us how you did it. Now look, I have more minions than available defense spots. No problem. The extra dudes just work on food service. So by the way, you saw by wave 8, I'm pretty much done building. I'm just about sure that I'm going to have enough resources to put a quarters here, so I'm going to drop that in. That last, this particle field over here is done, so just in the interest of keeping everything tidy, I'll get rid of that. So that's my limit in terms of defense, so everybody else goes to food service. When the waves come too frequently to continue building, you want extra dudes available to do food service to replenish the dudes that get killed. That's obviously very important. And I don't feel I need to start a 2nd row on either food service or construction. Extra guys go to defense. Now I can start to estimate how much is left in terms of resources. Let's see, there's 8 left over there, 6 left over there. Clearly, I have enough resources for more quarters at this point. So I'm going to build one more here on the edge. You know, I don't want to go too far outside the weapons boundary. Having concluded that I don't need more than 10 weapons, that it's just counterproductive. Again, if you think I'm wrong, then tell me I'm wrong. I think what I'm going to end up with, after I delete that reactor, is a weapon station and one more quarters. And you don't want to delete that reactor until you're sure, right? But I'm pretty sure. So let me find an L shape. Like that. Say a little prayer, and I'm going to delete this reactor. Goodbye. Weapons. Right in there. Now I want another L for my last quarters. You notice that I didn't delete the reactor until these guys were fully loaded, right, with energy. That would have been a terrible mistake. Quarters, right in here. Do I have enough for that? It's going to be close. I'm not going to place it until I know for sure. And it doesn't matter. What happened? I extracted 140 material. Hooray. That's done. We can get rid of that. Let's see. We'll set that aside. Delete this. Yeah, I got enough. Quarters, right there. Now, there's another technique that I've come up with. I don't know if it makes us last longer, but it is useful for passing the time between this moment when I've run out of resources and the game is over. And that is, I just keep building more quarters that will never get finished. But what they are is a food bank. Get a load of this. So at this point, I have, look in the bottom right of the screen, I have 2 resources left. I could build another weapon station somewhere, but I'm not gonna. There's nothing else that's ever gonna get built. Instead, what we're gonna do, I'm not even gonna optimize for shape. We're just gonna build some fake quarters here and load them up with food. Now, when I delete these one by one, I'm gonna have food available, and I think this helps me a little bit. It may add 1 or 2 waves to the end of the game, because it means that my food minions can focus on delivering food to quarters instead of delivering sludge to kitchens. I don't know if this is true, but what I do know is that it gives me something to do over the next, let's see, what wave are we on? Over the next, we're on wave 12, and we're going to get to like 50 or 60. So this is, I'll probably time-lapse a good portion of what's left here. Plus, it gives my minions something to do. They look bored, right? Now, as I work on this, I'm not going to be too worried about making sure that my minions are all safe. And so there will be minions that go out delivering food to these outer reaches, and they're going to get killed, and I don't care. We're about to get our first casualty, folks. Aww. He died doing what he loved. I suppose. Oh, I've run out of things for them to do. Go do more, little minions. Don't be bored. That's going to be a bloodbath. If they don't get back in time. Did I mention I don't care? The game has been lagging a little during this run, and I am pretty sure it's because I'm capturing video off of my iPad. It doesn't tend to lag at all when I just normally play. You also see that I've run out of room for building. I mean, I could have optimized this a little bit better, but given that I'm not actually sure how beneficial this strategy even is, I'm not going to put too much effort into it. It looks like we've just about finished all of this. When the construction guys lay down, you know that there's nothing more for them to do. And minions will occasionally die while defending the station, even while they're all, defending properly, and it's fine. They're going to last a good long time. Is there anything left for these guys to do? No. So, that's kind of it. We now keep our defenses just full, and try not to let our food service staff fall under like 6 or so. And when we see that we are using up food faster than they can make it, faster than our gardens can produce sludge, that's when we're going to start deleting these little food banks in the hope that that will give us just a little bit extra defensive capability to regenerate minions just a little more quickly. I would love to be able to just delete all of them right now, but I can't because this stack has a size limit. There's only so many that can be accommodated there, and I think the limit is around 20. So now we wait. Now later on, when things get serious, I will usually wait to send replacements into defense until I see that my food service guys are already busy. Because I don't want to distract someone from food service by sending someone carrying a piece of food or just about to grab a piece of food to defense. The other thing you can do if you have, so many extra as we do right now, maybe just drop a couple extra in a defensive role so that they automatically start running to defense when someone in a defense station, when a weapon station dies. $26. I think this is the one, right? Is it 26 or 28? I think it's 26. I guess it's 28. 2 more. And then 20 more after that. At least. But at least they're starting to come a little faster. People complain that the enemies come too fast. If your process is optimized, and if you've played the hell out of this game like I have, they come too slow. Now we're getting somewhere. I like it when they're fast and furious like this. Because it's a whole different game. Now it's all about sort of managing all your minions to make sure they're all running around in the right direction, doing the right things. And soon they'll all be dead. This is the last wave for getting the achievement. Level 28. Now in plus mode, instead of taking the wave number and dividing it by 2 for the number of enemies, in plus mode it's just the wave number. So on wave 28, you've got 28 dudes coming after you. Alright, we survived 28 waves. And you see here that I have survived 28 waves in plus as well. If I have demand on this YouTube video, if you guys post that you want to see a walkthrough of plus and how I approach that, which is slightly different, let me know. I haven't had 2 years to work on it, but I do have a process. It's not that different actually from the process you see here. So this is wave 29. We're going to keep going. We'll keep going up to, my prediction is like 52, 53, maybe as much as 55 is how long we're going to last. And this onslaught is not nearly strong enough to think about deleting my quarters for food just yet. We got a long way to go before we start worrying about that. And you see I wait for them to grab food, and then the ones that are not grabbing food get sent to defend. And then the guys that are born go back into food service. Did you notice that? Wave 33, there were no casualties. That's going to happen periodically. Pretty soon, we're going to get to the point where our minions and sludge gardens are not going to be quite fast enough to keep up. We're almost there. And I'm going to watch the number at the bottom right, which is now 6, 7. It's dangerously low. I think, once I commit to start deleting quarters to replenish food that way, you're going to see me deleting a quarters more or less anytime I see my food inventory fall below 10. But I'm pushing my luck a little bit. I'm not doing it just yet. And part of the reason is that I've got just a battalion of food service workers. There's still more than I really need. But it won't be long. Things are going to get hairy before you know it. Only lost one that time, so they're holding their own. Good job, minions. It's getting close. I think the time has just about arrived for me to start doing that. 41, 42, 43, somewhere in there is when we start doing that. There I go. Not many waves left. But even at wave 47, they were idle for a second. That's really, that's kind of promising. And that tells me that I might be able to get away with being courageous and holding off until wave 46 or 47 before I start deleting stuff. $52. We are almost to the end. Thanks for bearing with me on this very long video. With our food bank depleted, or nearly depleted, I have one last strategy available to us, which is to start tearing our base apart, piece by piece, shrinking the attack surface. When I can no longer fully staff all of my weapon stations, which is damn near now, I'm going to start deleting weapon stations in the outer quarters. And it's pretty close to right now. In fact, this one, gone. 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 This one is gone. This one too. Will we get to 60? Not so sure. I kind of doubt it. Ugh. Well, we're going to get to 60, but we're not going to get past it. 4 dudes left against 15, against 30, that is. So we are now about to embark on our final wave. And this is where I begin to say goodbye, YouTube. Wish me luck. They fought bravely, don't you think? The last 4 standing. Cool. 95 minutes, 59 waves. And you'll see me on the leaderboard as Spblat. Research all monoliths over the last week. That's me, Shep Mom. Wherever you are, Shep Mom, I'm calling you out. Show us how you did it. And waves survived is... I mean, you've got people, well, over all time, 102 waves. I gotta think that's cheating. I think, 67, 66, there's, that's plausible. They know something I don't. And I'm calling them out, too. I want to know how they did it. But number 10 out of 66,000, that's how I know I've made it in the world. All right, goodbye, YouTube. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to see anything else having to do with Rymdkapsel or anything else, or if you have questions or comments or whatever, throw me a like and all the stuff they say. Goodbye, YouTube!